Hey everybody. From time to time, people ask me about what it is I'm doing with all of this thread. And so tonight I thought I would give you just like a little overview of why I have so many different kinds and, you need it in every color. We'll start here. This is embroidery thread. It's a 40 weight, high sheen polyester. All of this stuff in this cabinet is from Floriani. But I have some Fantastico up here in bigger spools, and I have some other stuff that I have gotten at shows. I'm a little bit of a thread whore, so I'm always open to trying somebody else's thread, especially if it looks pretty. So this is a continuation of the embroidery thread, again, 40 weight. So I have some metallics here. This stuff is Fantastico. These are variegated embroidery threads, and this is a little bit metallic, so is this. And then these are, let's see, 8 weight, 30 weight. These are Aurifil, 12 weight threads, these, and I use them, these are heavier. These sulkies are 30 weights. And I use those mostly in loopers, although not the 12 weights, but the 30 weights I will use in a needle sometimes. But this machine, the Baby Lock Applaud, is a cover stitch that also does decorative stitching. And at some point, I'll show you a sample of that so you can see how you would use those decorative threads. You can even use yarns and cords, which I have up here. These are, well, this is serger thread, maxi lock, and all of this is like cotton cording and then high sheen polyester. Some people call it rat tail. So that's more for decorative, and you can also do thread painting over that stuff, so it gives you just more of a base of color. And then I have webbing. I used to embroider a lot on the webbing and make key fobs and stuff like that. And of course, there's more of the rat tail or poly cord. And then more serger thread. And that's generally 50 weight poly. And then I have serger thread up here. They were having a big sale. This was back when Superior Threads was discontinuing this stuff. It's not the poly yarn, it's something else. They've discontinued it. And honestly, it's not that stretchy. Like if you're gonna make things with knits, I would suggest using the poly yarn. And I think that's why they discontinued this one, because it's not terribly stretchy. I also have some industrial, this is like a 92, number 92, and it's UV resistant. So these things up here that aren't that incredibly attractive, but are very useful. And then I squeezed some more serger thread there. And then this is also serger thread. And then this stuff is the poly yarn, which I would recommend you try at least. This is also a Superior Threads product. And so if you're sewing with knits, this is a great thread to have in your looper because it will stretch with your garment instead of pulling holes in your knits. And then up here, because I change things around, I have some heavy crochet thread, and it's like kind of cording. And again, you can use that in your looper, and you can also use it in your, if you have the decorative cover stitch machine, you can use it for that as well. And then in here, this is kind of my dedicated decorative thread cabinet. And so I've got Halo by Superior. I don't know if they've discontinued this. I think they have. And then some of their metallics. This is definitely a looper thread. I did force myself one time to use it in a needle, and it is beautiful, but you've got to go so slowly, and it is, I don't know. You have to decide for yourself if it's worth it. And then I'm a sucker for a good sale on 30 weight threads. These are 30 weight variegated by Superior. Treasure is what it is. And I like 30 weight sometimes on my quilted cards, as well as in loopers, and definitely for decorative kind of stuff. And then this is your, this is the Razzle Dazzle. Again, another looper thread, really pretty stuff. But if you've got a serger, or if you want to do some couching on your regular sewing machine, any of this stuff that I've showed you that's heavier or more fragile can be used on a regular sewing machine couching. So that's pretty fun too from a decorative standpoint. And then these are YLI, these silky threads. These are designer 6. I don't really know what that means, but they're really silky. Again, I've used those in the loopers in my serger and cover stitch. And then they have this one, which I think is Candlelight. No, Pearl Crown Thread. So this is more textured, almost looks like a cording. And again, couching, serger, loopers, anything like that. And then these are 12 weight cotton threads by Superior, so sassy. I really like this for, again, loopers, decorative stitching of any kind. If you can get it to work in your needle, you need a big needle for that. So that's kind of, you know, when you have a certain kind of thread or a certain kind of weight, I find that I just end up needing different colors for different things that I pop into my mind to do. So then I have just some general sewing thread. If a lot of this is general sewing thread, but some of it is not. Some of this is, I think this is Orifil. I like a little bit of everything, as you can tell. I've got some King Tut in spools here. King Tut is a 40 weight cotton, Egyptian cotton thread, which I like very much for different applications. It's a little beefier than a 40 weight that is not cotton, that has, you know, poly. So I like that too if I'm doing like a blanket stitch on something. And then I have some more 30 weights over here. These are So Fine 30. They've discontinued the 30 weight, which is a shame, but they did. And so I have, you'll see there's some sulky embroidery threads here. That's the only kind of sulky thread I can get to work on any of my machines. I don't know why. All of this is elastic thread. I use that sometimes if, you know, garment construction. And then all of this, I believe, is Gutermann, and these are 50 weight, 50 weight sewing threads. Wawak or Wawak is a good source for that. And so I like those two. You get more on the spool with that than you do in these, you know, Coats and Clark, which I'm kind of phasing out. And so, because these are just, I have thread anxiety, so, you know, if I have a big spool, I feel better about what I'm about to start. So, and little spools like this drive me nuts. So now I'll take you into the long arm room. Okay, now we're in the long arm room, and what I have here is a lot of So Fine 50 weight, which is great on the long arm. You see I have my backing for my next quilt loaded. So I like So Fine for a lot of things that I do. King Tut variegated is also great for quilting, and these threads end up moving between my regular sewing room and this room. Obviously I'm on the long arm, I'm using these bigger cones, just a lot more efficient. And these were some 30 weights I bought on a Lark. They're variegated, and I don't know who does these. Oh, it's Coats and Clark, 30 weights. And I've had mixed experience with those. And then this was just an extra stash of Coats and Clark regular sewing thread. I don't have room in the other room for it, so. And then Omni is also a great choice for quilting on a long arm. These are 30 weight, again, Superior discontinued these, but these are 30 weights. I'm hoarding them. So 30 weight polyester. So when you really want your stitches to stand out, depending on what you're making and how you're doing it, you know, if you can get your machine to cooperate with it with decorative stitches, great. I have had good luck with that with Superior threads, but not with everybody's. So it just depends on what you're doing. And these are also 30 weight variegated threads up here. And then I don't usually use those in my long arm, sometimes, but not a lot. And then I have these holographic threads, which I have gotten to work on my long arm. It's a little bit tricky. I've done a video on how to thread your long arm, or at least mine, and get those to work. But it's tricky and you've got to go slow. So I don't know if you have the patience for that. And I also have some metallics that I do use in here on occasion. So I have some in here as well. Again, thread whore. And then Masterpiece is a cotton, I think it's 40 weight, or maybe it's 50 weight. Let me see. I can't even remember. It's not saying. Oh yeah, it's 50 weight. So great for quilting. I started buying a lot of this Masterpiece thread because I was making those bowl cozies last year, and you have to have 100% cotton everything, because if somebody's going to put that in a microwave, if it's polyester, it'll melt or cause a fire. And then this is my latest kind of craze for quilting, and it's really thin, 80 weight thread. This is Wonderfill Deco Bob. This stuff is great when you just want the texture of your quilting to show and not necessarily make the thread be the, you know, the star of what you're doing. And I see that I've mixed in some So Fine here, so I've got to rearrange that. But it really just depends on what you're doing. And here, these are also Masterpiece colors, and I put the bobbins in here because, again, if I'm making something that's going to go in a microwave, I need to know, you know, that I'm not going to set anybody's house on fire. So you want to be careful about that. And these are just random things that I got actually when I got the knitting machines. These things were in the bundle of yarn that I had. And then I have yarns. These are cotton yarns up here in the first row and the bottom row, and then polyester blend, I'm not acrylic blend kind of yarns. And so there's all of that. There's some wool in there as well. And then more yarn here, just different things, like all kinds of different things. And I'm kind of delinquent on what's going on with the knitting machine because I've been distracted by the quilts that I'm making. And so I only have 2 hands and 1 head, and I'm not getting anywhere with the knitting machines right now. So, but it'll come, hopefully it'll come. So that's my quick explanation, although it doesn't probably feel quick. So that's it.